stream.
All right. Well, we missed our intro, but hello, chat.
If you want to see the super secret intro, you can find it.
Nope, I'm
in
about to
the-
go.
In
I'm about
the
to go.
other stream.
I'm about to go delete that right now. So.
It'll
Yeah.
be lost to time.
Yeah.
No,
listen.
before you delete it, you need to save it for a member reward
Correct.
I'll private it.
behind this. Yeah.
Oh,
there
did we
you go.
just decide to go straight live? I'm like sitting
Yeah,
here
now we're
looking at-
full.
Yeah, no,
live on
we
the
went
correct one.
straight live on the correct
I
one.
thought you were like gonna
We're just-
redo the like intro
To-
and all that.
Nope.
To
We're just raw
recap,
dogging it.
to recap, everybody, Sean's got Monster. I've got water in a mason jar. Ashton's drinking blue. If you hold
got
up your
Just
blue,
soda.
I got gamer subs.
It's a
and then
blue
we
cup.
got.
Can I get a satisfying
Ashton-
pop again?
That's not how that works.
No, not as good.
My
And then
tab's
Ryan
about
has
to
a
fall off.
Ryan has a can full of snakes. Apparently, is what's happening. I don't know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that is.
Tab.
Jordan,
All
this
right.
is the best I can do for you.
You know what? That's
And
perfect.
we're live. Hello.
Nailed it.
We're live.
So, what the format is for today is we're doing a little bit of a PowerPoint party here. Each one of the fine gentlemen that are surrounding me on either side of my camera have given a PowerPoint presentation on a topic that they are passionate about, extremely passionate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
Extremely,
go.
yeah.
We're gonna do each presentation one at a time. At the end of every presentation, we will stop and we'll get questions and comments from the rest of you guys in chat and also the people that weren't presenting their presentation. So be prepared to defend yourselves, gentlemen. You might have some people coming at you for your hot takes.
My topic
I don't
defends
have any-
itself.
Oh my god.
I don't have any hot
Same.
takes.
I have a feeling that's not true. So we're gonna start with Sean. Sean, why don't you walk us through Deathwatch kill teams for dummies?
Well, Ryan has actively claimed that Deathwatch is just black-clad Space Marines. And nothing else. So, we have this lovely picture of our
It's not exactly what it is.
guy here who is not bears no resemblance to anyone else. But we're going to be teaching that guy right there on screen a little bit about Deathwatch kill teams. And yeah, Jordan, you can go ahead and
Oh my god, did I skip? Oh my god, it skipped so many. How did that just happen? Slide 1, we're here. We got that.
so I was gonna do a little joke Auspex Tactics voice, but I think it's a silly bit now. So
No, you have
yeah.
No, now you have to do the
Yep.
rest of it in a British accent.
I was just gonna whisper really quiet and see if anyone falls asleep while I'm doing the presentation. So, recently Deathwatch has won the Las Vegas Open playing Blackspear Task Force and using several kill teams, in particular the Indomitor kill team and the Town Strike kill team. Space Marine 2 opens with an exciting mission featuring Deathwatch as a spotlight army. And new players have been joining the Deathwatch subreddit because of that, asking, hey, how do I play this army? Is this still an army I could play? Stuff like that.
I will need you to Seanify this at some point because
I know.
I'm
well aware.
Ryan's
Yeah.
gone. Ryan's out.
So
I do
basically-
go to sleep to Auspex Tactics.
I know. Yeah, so do I. It's wonderful. I fucking love it. I'm talking too fast for Auspex. That's fair. So yeah, Deathwatch is getting more popular. We have a lot of fans in our chat that are Deathwatch fans. And although there are other channels that do have Deathwatch as a little bit of a spotlight, I thought we can do something to kind of show a little bit more about them.
We do
because
love
they're not
Auspex
easy-
here. I want to put it out there.
Yeah,
All of
absolutely.
us are avid Auspex Tactics
Yeah.
watchers.
I've watched at least 2 episodes of Auspex Tactics today. So it's done
Today.
out of respect and love. Yeah. I even brought my own ghetto Auspex stinger. Oh, it didn't finish.
Kinda did it.
Yeah. Anyway, so they're hard to understand if you don't play the army. And look, the fact of the matter is, you will probably see them on the tabletop across from you at some point as they become hopefully more popular. But Jordan, you can go ahead and hit that next the next slide. So real quick, I'm going to touch on kill teams of the past. So we have Kill Team Cassius, which is kind of the impetus for Deathwatch kill teams. You're looking at a chaplain, a librarian, a bunch of regular Marines, a Terminator, 2 jump pack guys, and a bike, which is where Ryan's frustration with the kill teams come in, I think. They all have different weapons, some unique to this unit, with different toughnesses and a lot to track. In 7th edition, you had Watch Force Artemis, which included Captain Artemis, 10 Marines, and a Dreadnought. How you include a Dreadnought as part of a squad, I'm not quite sure, but I did not play 10th or 7th edition, so don't ask me. And then you had the Proteus kill team, which is now sadly squatted / legends. You are not allowed to bring it with a Deathwatch army, only with an Agents of the Imperium army, which is dumb. But you could bring Terminators, bikes, and all kinds of dumb things. They had access to basically every firstborn weapon, along with like the heavy thunderhammer and the frag cannon, which aren't actually accessible to any other army. So just a ton of data sheets to track. Jordan, you can now hit the next slide again. So modern kill teams, you have 6 options if we include Terminators. The reason we include Terminators in that list is because the only thing that has mission tactics in mission tactics is the Deathwatch detachment rule. The only thing that gets access to mission tactics in the new index is Deathwatch kill teams, the Corvus Blackstar, and the named characters. Deathwatch kill teams give you a ton of stratagems for stronger shooting attack, or stronger shooting and actually melee. I think it affects melee now too. And they have access to more lethal bolters than standard Space Marines. And the new version of the kill teams are a lot more flexible than they were in the previous index. Aside from that, yeah, that's it. That's the end of the slide. No, I'm kidding. Brings us to firstborn kill teams, which are just called Deathwatch kill teams in the Imperial Agents Codex. Aside from that, it's the same data sheet as the new Deathwatch Veterans data sheet. They're baseline Marines. You can bring 5 or 10. They have access to a whole bunch of cool weapons like the Heavy Thunderhammer, frag cannons, and the Infernus Heavy Bolter, which is basically a combi bolter version of the Heavy Bolter for some reason. You round out with bolters, stalker bolters, power weapons, and storm shields. My tip for this squad is to bring a 5-man loaded out for melee. Bring Heavy Thunderhammers, Infernus Heavy Bolters, and frag cannons. Get the most out of your points because these guys are going to be your cheapest option that has access to stratagems and army rules. If you bring a 10, you can do either heavy melee or max out on the heavy weapons like the frag cannon and the Infernus. And then, yeah, that's it. So Terminators are technically now a kill team. They have the kill team keyword so that they can get access to the stratagems. They are a combination of regular Terminators and assault Terminators. They can bring 3 heavy weapons between the Cyclone Missile Launcher, the Assault Cannon, Heavy Flamers, and the Dark Angels exclusive Plasma Cannon. They can they can bring 3 Plasma Cannons, Jordan. I saw that face. 3 Plasma Cannons, 1 squad. They can reroll charge rolls, and they get battle shock, and they inflict battle shock tests at a -1 penalty. The best thing to do with them, and really the only thing to do with them, is just bring 3 Cyclone Missile Launchers. Use them as your anti-tank option. You can bring 2 squads and basically kill most vehicles with that. You don't really need to bring tanks with this army if you max out on your heavy damage dealers.
That's
and they
a
got deep
weird
strike.
way to say that you should take 3 plasma cannons, but okay.
I mean, look. Here's the problem with 3. Here's the problem with 3 plasma cannons. You only should put 1 Dark Angel in the squad. So who gets the other 2 plasma cannons?
The other 2 Dark Angels that are in your squad.
They could be other. I guess they could be other like successor chapters because they'd still have plasma cannons.
Other
right?
Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could be some other chapter that has plasma.
Yeah, and then you've got the Tacticus or Fortis kill team, which is all of your new shiny Primaris boys in Tacticus armor. You get a sergeant, you get 2 to 9 intercessors, they all have upgraded bolt rifles that have a 5 strength, 2 AP, and lethal hits. You can take up to 4 assault intercessors, up to 4 hellblasters, up to 4 Infernus Marines, and up to 2 Desolation Marines, which are the guys with the big dumb rocket launchers. They can take a Vangor or a Super Crack or a Super Frag. And yeah, basically this is your ranged shooting killy unit. I think you probably bring 5 intercessors, and then you take some Hellblasters and Desolation Marines and just let them kill things in the way that those squads normally would. There's not really a reason to take Infernus Marines or Assault Intercessors with this squad if they just don't do anything.
Now, kill teams are locked to squads of 10 now, right?
Yeah, so one thing I didn't put in here that I should mention, all of the kill teams are squads of 10, locked at squads of 10. So even though it says 2 to 9 intercessors, you have to take. Well, actually, technically, you can field a 3-man, but it's pointed as 10-man. So you can field a 3-man of just one intercessor sergeant and 2 intercessors, and that meets the minimum requirement for the squad. The other thing was the index gave us the Infernus Marines and the Desolation Marines on this one. They originally weren't accessible by the squad. And then the other thing of note that's not on the slide is when you look at the data sheet for these will say Intercessor with Heavy Bolter, Intercessor with Plasma Exterminator, Intercessor with Pyreblaster, Intercessor with Vangor Launcher or Super Frag Launcher or whatever. So they don't call them by the name of what their unit is. They call them by Intercessor so that they can have one stat line at the top, which is part of the reason for this slide, this presentation, is that if you don't know what you're looking for when you see Intercessor with Super Crack Launcher, you're like, what the fuck is that? Right? How many people actually own Desolation Marines? How many people here own a Space Marine army? Right. So 1 out of 3 Space Marine players.
Don't count.
What?
They
we'll get to that
they
later.
don't have access to that unit.
Agent army. Is the assault intercessors all they can have is a chainsword?
They just get a chainsword, yeah. The intercessor sergeant can take any power weapon. So power fist, thunderhammer, chainsword, or power weapon. Which fits the slot of your intercessor sergeant, which would normally get the power weapon. We did lose Deathwatch as a whole lost access to Van Vets as like a powerful option. It used to be in the firstborn kill team, so you'd have all kinds of melee options with that, but they're all gone. So, all right, let's jump to Spectrus kill teams. I think they're next. Spectrus kill teams are your Phobos option. So the base for this squad is intercessors. You get 3 to 10. They have upgraded marksman bolt carbines, which have 5 strength, 2 AP. No, 1 AP. Yeah, marksman bolt carbines don't normally have AP. So 1 strength, 1 AP, and lethal hits. You can bring 4 incursors, which have the Oculus bolt carbines. There's no reason to take those. Intercessors are just the same data sheet, but have access to like the Helix Gauntlet and stuff. You can take Reavers. They're fine. But more importantly, you can take 3 Eliminators. You can give them an Instigator bolt carbine, which gives them the fire and fade ability from the Instigator bolt carbine. They already have Infiltrate and Scout, and their core ability is at the end of your opponent's, I think it's move phase or shooting phase. If there's no opponent within engagement range, you pull them off the board and they gain these, and they basically could be set down anywhere else. So this squad basically is just you move them around the board, dance them around the board, doing your objectives, pull them off the end of every turn and move them somewhere different. I like to put a Phobos Librarian with them because it gives them the can't be targeted outside of 12 and stealth. So now you're just constantly moving them out of range of enemy fire and putting them somewhere where they can shoot with their longer range weapons. I usually give the like max out on Eliminators, take las fusils. I feel like that's the way to go. However, like with Reavers, here's the other thing I should note. The Deathwatch index sheets didn't get updated when the Space Marine sheets did. So like they don't have the better stats for the Reavers or for the Infernus Marines. So that it's kind of like a mixed bag on some of the upgraded units. So at this point, it's just take infiltrators and just take eliminators, and then you could fill out with incursors or Reavers if you really want to. This squad used to have access to the suppressors, which really paired well with the eliminators with the 36-inch autocannon. But for some reason, Deathwatch no longer has that as a datasheet in any of their teams.
Sorry,
I don't
Matt,
know why.
suppressors are getting squatted.
Yeah. Honestly, that's the big clue that they're getting squatted. All right, let's hit everyone's favorite big boys, the Gravis. This squad is probably what won the guy whose name I didn't write down, LVO. Its base is heavy intercessors, so toughness 6, 3 wounds, with upgraded heavy bolt rifles and upgraded heavy bolters. They're 2 AP, lethal hits, 2 damage, heavy bolters, and heavy bolt rifles, excuse me. And the heavy bolters are strength 5, AP 3, damage 3, lethal, sustained, assault, heavy.
Okay.
Too many words.
What?
The kill team's ability is if they're shooting at the closest unit, they get an extra 2 strength. So those then become strength 7, AP 3, damage 3, lethal, sustained, assault, heavy.
And the data assault and heavy.
I don't. Well, a lot of the intercessor stuff is. The heavy intercessors are as base too. Yeah. The rule for the war gear is you can take 2 heavy bolters for every 10 models in the squad. Meaning, if you max out on eradicators and aggressors, you take 1 heavy intercessor with a heavy bolt rifle and 2 heavy intercessors with a heavy bolter, and that's the only heavy intercessors you need in the squad. The rest of the squad can be aggressors and eradicators to your heart's content. Personally, I would just run this as a bulked up, heavy intercessor squad. Maybe bring some aggressors for the fists. The guy who won LVO brought 3 aggressors, 3 eradicators, which is probably good, but I think the heavy bolters do just fine. Put them in the center of the board. They're slow. You can use the site-to-site teleportation stratagem to move them around the board. It does a similar thing to the Spectrus ability. It pulls them off the board, and then they gain deep strike. So then just throw them back on the board, with Rapid Ingress or something else. And that targets 2 units. So if you have 2 Indomitor kill teams, you can move both of them. And then also Beacon Angelus is a enhancement that gives them deep strike and I think free Rapid Ingress. So that's the best way to make them mobile. Sadly, they don't fit in the Corvus Black Star anymore. They used to, but they don't anymore.
Sad.
Yeah, very sad. And last squad is the Talon Strike Kill team, which is brand new, didn't exist before this, and is kind of weird. So Inceptors used to be in the Indomitor Kill team. Now they're here. This covers all of our jump pack options, which is just 2. Assault Intercessors and Inceptors. I think the guy in LVO brought 2 of these. And he brought 5 and 5, 5 Assault Intercessors, 5 Inceptors. They can take Plasma Exterminators or Assault Bolters. Both of them have Assault and Pistol, so you're not hampering the Jump Marines from assaulting or charging. You can still charge them in, still assault them, whatever. They can still shoot their Exterminators or Assault Bolters. Mm-hmm. When they come onto the board, they gain Lance, and they gain +1 AP, or I guess an additional -1 AP. So basically pull them out of Deep Strike, kill something in the backfield, and then you can use that site-to-site teleportation to pull them back into Deep Strike and put them in on your next turn. So you can just keep farming that Lance and better AP if you wanted. But with this, the Indomitor kill team and the Spectrus kill team, you could be super mobile and super lethal in a way that I don't think any other Space Marine outside of Grey Knights can do. But Grey Knights, I think, lose on that lethality. No offense, Ash. Not a shot, just a observation.
Just an observation.
So Yeah, I'm really not shocked that they're doing as well as they are. These kill teams are very confusing. Your opponent will sit down across from you, and you'll think they're making up their rules. Like that's how it will feel, and
That's how I
there's
feel
no way
playing
around
Gene
it.
Stealer cults, so I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. So I don't think I have another slide after this.
Nope.
Um,
All right,
No,
well, Sean,
rad.
thank you for
Cool,
that
thank you.
very informative presentation. On
I know it's
Deathwatch
not
kill teams.
unhinged like everyone else's is going to be, but
So
Now-
so that's very interesting. What if I don't want to play kill team? What if I want to play 40k? Can I still play Deathwatch?
well,
I-
no,
I do want to
actually.
clarify. I want to clarify one thing. I don't dislike Kill Team, or I don't dislike Deathwatch, and I
He hates
wasn't
kill team.
terribly confused by them.
You
I
dislike
said
bikes.
the
You dislike
black-
bikes and squads.
I don't dislike them. It seemed to me that it would be slowing the bike down to have it with a bunch of foot guys. That was the one thing.
Yeah, but they gain they gain the infantry keyword.
that
So
that is.
so is the
fun.
bike just like
I quoted
driving
the
circles around everyone else?
Yeah, pretty much.
I quoted the black clad space marine thing so much
It's hilarious.
because
know.
I thought it was funny that when the Deathwatch first came out, they basically deleted your army, and that was their way of saying we have killed teams at
Yeah,
home.
don't worry. You can
And
still
it bothered
play
you,
Deathwatch.
so obviously
was-
I kept saying
It was hilarious that your army got squatted, nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it bothered
It's
you, so I
hilarious
kept
that
saying
that
it like a good
4,000
friend.
points is
Yeah.
worthless.
Chat, if you
Um,
guys have any questions or comments during these, we'll check out those two in between
Well,
the presentations here.
And to be fair to you, Ryan, at that point I was still optimistic. It wasn't until we actually saw rules that I went pessimistic.
You
Yeah,
were
but
so
now
you're
you're-
like huffing the hopium so hard on Imperial agents.
I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be rad, and
I
now it's not.
know.
And I'm also really mad. Like the Proteus kill team thing, like really bugs me because, like, there's a specific call out in the Deathwatch Index that you cannot take any Legends data sheets from Imperial agents except for Kill Team Cassius. So you cannot take the Proteus kill teams. The reason it's there is so you can't double up on 6 Indomitor kill teams. Not that you have the points to do that anyways, but
Sure.
whatever.
But hey, at least the Imperial agents had the nice new Kodiaz model that looks like he has the robot pants from Wallace and Gromit.
They had something
A
for
lot of
sure.
people, a lot of people hate that model. I don't think he's that bad. I don't.
I hate it
wanna
only
run.
because the old cover art for him is so good.
I will give
Yeah.
you that. I will give you. He could have been cooler. I'll give you that.
I like the model.
Pelvis is like 2 sizes too big.
So I don't dislike the model because I think it looks like Fallout power armor.
Yeah, it's like actually human proportioned powered armor,
Right.
which we're not used to because we're used to seeing Space Marines in power armor, and Space Marines are built like fucking brick walls.
They are, as I
they're-
heard today, constructed alternatively.
As like built different? Is that
yes,
code?
instead of built
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
it's constructed alternatively.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Any more questions or comments on Sean's presentation there?
Elliot, do you want to call them Space Marine weebs yet?
Oh, no, they are.
Okay, cool.
Why are they
The
Space
second
Marine
you
weebs?
start, well, because they're so obsessed with all the different Xenos, and then they collect all their little weapons and minifigs in their rooms and hang them on their
Oh,
walls like
okay.
katanas. Yeah, no, they're little.
They
Yeah,
use Xenophase blades.
these Xenophase blades. They're the weebs of 40k because
Absolutely.
they want to have all the Xeno stuff that they can fanboy over all the time.
Well, but the
right.
weebs, okay, but I don't know if I should even. Weebs don't want to like murder Japanese people.
Well, but yeah, that's where the
Right?
40k.
Like-
See, the weebs is the obsession. The 40k is the murder, right? Normal weebs don't have the 40k attached onto it. Everybody in 40k wants to murder everyone else. You see?
Jordan, are you ready for my slideshow?
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Why don't you tell us all about the most interesting man in 40k?
Is it John Grammaticus?
Give me a click. The most interesting man. Well, John Grammaticus is pretty fucking interesting. But no, you're wrong. The most interesting man in Warhammer 40,000 is, give me a click. Babu Dakhal, baby. Babu Dakhal.
Oh my god, the animation at the bottom. You went all out on this, huh?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I
I'm
got
so
fans of it.
excited.
Fucking mad respect.
Petition.
This is what got me into 40k.
This
Really?
slideshow.
This slideshow,
This
yeah.
slideshow?
He saw it
Ryan
from the
yelling,
past.
Ryan grabbing me by the shoulders and screaming about Babu Dakhal at me is what got me into 40k.
I do
I'm
that from
convinced
time to
Ryan
time.
made this guy up. By the way.
Oh, I have to
No.
tell you, the first time I heard Ryan yelling about Babu Dakhal, I thought that it was the tiny guy from the new Star Wars movies.
Babu Frick?
Oh yeah.
This
hey,
is not Babu Frick. Babu Frick is also cool, but this is Babu Dakhal. Give me a click, Jordan, because everyone seems to be interested in knowing who he is. You might be interested to know that he's also known as, click, Eric Tyrannus, click, Victor of Godower, I guess, click, the Last Rider, click, the Butcher of Scandia. I thought I was going to be doing this slideshow myself, click, the Throne Slayer, click again. And he is a Thunder Warrior from the War of Unification. He's kind of like a folk hero in 40k. Like, people know about him way past the War of Unification. Like, even in like the Horus Heresy era, he name drops and people are like, holy shit, you're that guy? There's stories about him where he's the size of a mountain, carving valleys with his fists. But he was just a Thunder Warrior. He was the lightning bearer. He carried the flag of unification. He planted it on top of Mount Ararat in the final battle of the War of Unification. And according to legend, click, he died at Mount Ararat. Click. Or did he? This is going to be so scuffed.
Petition for Ryan to only be able to change slides by snapping.
Will that work? And so some of you might be saying, like, what the hell is this? Where are the Space Marines? Well, we'll talk about Space Marines in a little bit. But well, I didn't snap. Let's talk about some history first.
I snapped.
It's fine. No one else snapped. No one else can snap. So this all starts way back before the Horus Heresy, even back before Unification, back before there was even an Imperium, during the techno-barbarian states of the pre-Unity Terra, where there was techno-barbarians running around who were psychic, cybernetic, mutant, deranged, degenerate, techno-barbarian freaks. And the Emperor was like, I gotta get humanity back together. I gotta purge all this stuff. How am I gonna do it? Well, here's the answer: the Thunder Warriors. What the fuck's a Thunder Warrior? Well, they're genetically engineered. Sorry, give me a second.
Your hand is gonna be so sore after this, huh?
That is so good. I'm loving.
I thought I'd be clicking
I'm
through
loving
on
the
my
sassy
own.
snapping Ryan. Like, I get it.
You want to just team viewer into my computer?
No, that's fine. This is
Absolutely
better.
not. He has to keep snapping.
Oh my
They're
god.
genetically engineered. They super soldiers that the Emperor made. He took adult humans and turned them into Thunder Warriors. They wore primitive suits of powered armor, which might look kind of similar, and that's because they were precursors to the Space Marines that we know and love. They were resistant to psionics. Like, psionic people would have pain when they tried to cast stuff on them. They were stronger, more savage, more potent in combat than a Space Marine, asterisk, individually. And what I mean by that is, like, one-on-one, a Thunder Warrior would probably dumpster a Space Marine. But Space Marines, their big benefit is their ability to fight in cohesion as like a unified fighting force. The Thunder Warriors, they were kind of troubled because they were still very human. They still had like all their emotions. They kind of would get like enraged and kind of go off on their own. They're very independent warriors. And they also were genetically and mentally unstable because they were like adult humans, and due to the processes that were done to them, they would deteriorate after a few decades after being transitioned into their super soldier state. And that was all part of their sad but true planned obsolescence that the Emperor baked into him. Because the Emperor knew that once Terra was unified, he would need a different fighting force. These guys were very blunt instruments, like a sledgehammer, and he would need more of a scalpel moving forward. And because of that, they were betrayed.
I just want to
There was an event.
In case you're watching this on your phone, Ryan has photoshopped anime girl crying eyes onto one of the Thunder Warriors and a betrayed cat head
This is real nice.
onto another one.
Yeah, so after the Battle of Mount Ararat, they weren't replenishing the ranks of the Thunder Warriors. There weren't many left because they fought in legions similar to the Space Marines, and actually their commanders of their legions were called Primarchs. Interestingly enough, but after the Battle of Mount Ararat, he got Constantin Valdor. God, I cannot talk. Constantin Valdor, the Custodians, and some of the first Legion Space Marines to go and kill the remaining Thunder Warriors. Tragic, rude, uncalled for. But there were survivors. Not all the Thunder Warriors were purged. Some got away, some were not, in that area when the culling happened. And here's some notable survivors we have. We've got the, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but the Diet Tar of the Cerberus insurrection, which was an insurrection on a prison planet where a bunch of Thunder Warriors, had an uprising, and they sent in the Warhounds, which would one day become the World Eaters, to take them out, backed up with guardsmen. And the Thunder Warriors killed 4 to 5 times as many World Eaters as they lost, but they were eventually knocked out and driven out of that. But it kind of shows the prowess of the Thunder Warriors, their strength, even though they were getting kind of deranged at that point. There's also some stories about some Thunder Warriors on Terra in this place called the Maw, which I don't remember exactly where that is, but it's like a pit like way down beneath the hives of Earth. And they were fighting in these gladiatorial arenas to just survive and get chems and stuff to maintain their bodies as they deteriorated. And they started having the mental deterioration I talked about, where their brains were going. They were starting to have flashbacks where they would be like, "Oh, we're on Mount Ararat again. We're fighting," and they would start killing people because they thought they were in battle. And that story ends with a custodian coming, whose name is Tagio Malkian, and he thinks he's tracking down a Thunder Warrior, but he winds up tracking down an Alpha Legion possessed that's leading a cult, and he almost dies. But Thunder Warrior Darren Herrick comes in, kills the possessed, and is pretty mortally wounded himself, but saves Tagio Malkian's life. And Tagio's like, "What the hell are you doing here? I thought you were all dead." And he's like, "Well, I am now. Give me the honored death and execute me." Because he's starting to go crazy and he doesn't want to lose his mind and go on a rampage. It's kind of a sad story. I guess I just spoiled it. Spoiler warning. Horus Heresy books have been out for a very long time. You die a hero, you live long enough to spoil something for somebody. Anyway. And then we have the goated Goda and Babu Dakhal, who Eric Tyrannus was one of the more notable Thunder Warriors. He survived the Purge.
I didn't hear a snap.
I'll snap louder.
Snap louder.
Getting tired. But yeah, so they survived. These people survived the culling, but they're always on the run. They're struggling with their defects, but they're still very formidable and dangerous warriors. So let's talk about Babu Dakhal. Who is he, and what makes him cool? Well, first up, as I mentioned, he survived. Next up, and this might sound weird at first, but I'll explain it. He wasn't really mad about the betrayal. He's talking to people about it in one of the stories, and he's just kind of like, yeah, the Emperor killed all the Thunder Warriors, but it kind of had to happen. And the reason I think that's cool is because, like, when your superhuman space god psychic, dad says you got to go, and you're not just like, oh no, why? You're like, yeah, you know what? I get it. That's kind of like game respecting game. You're like on his level of thinking. So that's kind of cool. He understood the big picture. So that makes him cool to me. He also built a genetic lab in the Petitioner City, which if you don't know what the Petitioner City is, it is right outside of the Palace of Terra. So he's like one of the most hunted type of people in the early Imperium, but he's like right under their noses in this buried lab way deep down in the earth. And in the books that he's in, the lab is described as having only one other lab that is comparable to it, and that's the Emperor's lab in the Vaults of Terra. So it's like he's got some very fancy tools. He's also manufacturing new genetic warriors down there. And while he's doing that, he's using them to become the head of the crime syndicate in Petitioner City. He like knocks out all the other crime lords. He takes control. He's like the king in the castle. Everyone's scared of him. And so a lot of this stuff comes from the book Outcast Dead. And in that book, Goda, who's the guy standing behind him, that's the best picture I could. There's not very many pictures of these guys. Goda fights these space marines who, for whatever reason, were imprisoned. I won't get into Outcast Dead too much, but they were imprisoned. They escaped from the Imperial prison and they're running. And he fights them because they're wanting to get a hold of some of their gene seed for their genetic experiments. And Goda goes up against like 2 World Eaters and Emperor's Children and a Thousand Sun guy. And the Thousand Sun guy tries to like probe him psychically, and it's like grabbing glass or something sharp. He's like, oh no, fuck that. He duels the 2 World Eaters. He dodges like very close range plasma shot from the Emperor's Children guy. So he's a machine, and he's not even as good as Babu Dakhal. So Goda is pretty awesome. He's his right hand man. He's also an actual Thunder Warrior who survived as well. And then at the end of the story, the spoilers for Outcast Dead also. I should have put a spoiler warning on this. I'm sorry. There's a big battle where Babu Dakhal and Goda show up. And they get away from the battle, even though it involves the Black Sentinels, which you don't know who they are. They're like special forces for the Astra Telepathica. The Space Marines that are there, Custodians, the Sisters of Silence, an assassin from the Officio Assassinorum, a warp entity gets released, and Rogel Dorn himself shows up to this fight.
They fight a tank?
And Babu Dakhal and Goda are there. Say what?
They fight a tank?
No, the actual Primarch. Daddy Dorn shows up, but they are able to like fight their way out of that while harvesting gene seed and getting away scot-free, which is pretty amazing in the middle of like right next to the Imperial Palace. And he went and he took this and he fixed the genetic template for the Thunder Wars, fixed the deterioration. At the end of the story, Goda's like, did it work? And he's like, yep, it did. And so now they're Thunder Warriors with the longevity and the strength and the fortitude of Space Marines, which is not something that a lot of people can do. He learned a lot of his methods during the Unification War from the Emperor. Then he reverse engineered the Astartes gene seed to fix himself and Goda. It's a feat paralleled by few. Corvus Corax tried it, and that went really poorly for him. And there was no sort of interference of any kind. Nothing bad happened. It was just his own faults for sure. They turned into pseudo demons, on their own. Fabius Biles tried it, and I don't have any fun graphics for him because all his stuff tends to blow up because it's unstable, and there's not a lot of drawings of like that aren't AI. I didn't want to use AI for this. of like his creations of Bile out there, or I couldn't.
To be
find
fair,
them,
you can't spell Fabius Bile without A and I.
Yep. 2 letters.
And Belisarius Call tried, and he succeeded with the help of the Sang Primus Portum, which, if you guys don't know what that is, it's this device from one of the techno cults that existed on the moon pre-unification, and that the Emperor took and then eventually filled it with a very potent level of Primarch gene seed, like more potent than normal gene seed. And so that's how Belisarius Call was able to make the Primaris Marines. Or maybe he found inspiration from other things to make these larger, stronger, less corruptible Space Marines. But who knows? He probably followed all of Rabute Gilliman's, guidelines. There's no other tech out there, and Belisarius Call would never go off the, beaten path. And so now, free from his genetic curse as a Thunder Warrior and his deterioration, practically immortal, strengthened by his new, I guess, Thunder Warrior gene seed, who knows where he could end up? We don't know what happens to him after that. He fulfills his goal and he goes off into the galaxy. And I just think he's a very compelling, cool character. And that's Babu Dakhal, Eric Tyrannus, the Lightning Bearer. So
Hell yeah.
And the
Thanks.
potentially the father of the Primaris Marines.
Ryan,
Now,
I'm just saying.
first of all,
I'm just saying.
I would just like to commend you on your mastery of Google Slides. I've never seen anything quite like that.
Yeah.
This is the
crazy.
second.
I didn't know you could do that.
This is the second Google slide I've ever made.
Oh my god,
The first
man.
one was for our meeting earlier in January.
You found all the tools that I didn't know existed, so incredible work.
Yeah.
So now, Jordan, I know we can ask questions. Can we fact check?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, you got something for me?
I do. So,
Sean getting in here with the fact checking.
Yeah. So, what'd you call this guy? You gave this guy a name.
Babu Dakhal?
Diet Tar.
Oh, the Dietar. Oh, there was one thing I forgot to mention about the Dietar. So, and it's important for the whole, like, maybe Belisarius Call used other sources. There was a world eater named Indrid. I'm gonna mispronounce this. Indrid. Oh yeah, he's holding him up. Is this what you're about to talk about? Indrid Har. He was a world eater Black Shield from the Horus Heresy. He was off on another mission when the world eaters turned. He got really pissed when he found out. He never got the butcher's nails, and he called himself a Dietar, which is what the Thunder Warriors who did the Cerberus insurrection called themselves. He called the Thunder Warriors brothers. He had a Raptor Imperialis tattoo, and he talked about how he fought in the Unification Wars with the Emperor, and he was very big and strong for a Space Marine. So, theory is, and like Malkador said, he was
a Thunderworld. But he also bested a Thunder Warrior.
Yeah, so Malkador at one point says he's like a unique case or something. So it's very strong evidence that Indrid Har was like a Thunder Warrior that somehow became a Space Marine, which is wild. So there is,
which brings me to the next time we're going to do this. The next time we do one of these presentations, I will be presenting on why Indrid Har is cooler than Babu Dakhal.
Oh! Whoa!
Starting beef.
Fighting words, son.
Beef
but yeah,
started.
Indrid Har he's pretty cool. I'll give you that. Indrid Har is cool because he's like Babu Dakhal, I would say.
Well, okay, but hold on. But arguably, someone already did what Babu Dakhal was trying to accomplish before Babu Dakhal did it. Because he is a Space Marine.
Yeah, kind of. But what's impressive, I mean, like the Imperium did that. They have like all the resources. He didn't fight
it underground.
Yeah, Babu Dakhal sustained his own life. Literally. He sustained his own life way past when he was supposed to die, and Goda's. with a box of scraps in a cave right under their nose. And like the custodians have been hunting for these guys. They with the guys with the gladiators, they send out Tagio Malkian to like kill them when they hear a rumor that there might be Thunder Warriors. They send a kill squad out, which a one-man kill squad, to take him out. But Babu Dakhal somehow he wasn't laying low. He was like the crime boss of that whole sector right next to the Imperial Palace. But somehow he kept it under wraps what he was, kept the lab going. So yeah, I mean, in Dryad Har, however the hell you say that name, is really cool, but
Indrid
he's
Har.
not Babu Dakhal cool. Yeah.
They should have just asked
Babu
his sister
Dakhal-
Dee Dee where his laboratory was, and she would have told him right away.
Yeah.
Underground laboratory
Yeah.
right next door to the Emperor.
Jesus Christ, Ashton.
So, I every day slowly feel my sanity like slipping from me. Does that mean that I'm
Yeah.
like a Thunder Warrior?
You're a Thunder Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Thunder
I'm so
Warriors,
big and scary.
That's why you were able to break your foot by slapping a ball or whatever it was you did, is because you're physically deteriorating as well.
Correct.
No,
Yep,
he
that's
was
when
hitting
fine.
a pickle with a ball.
When you broke your foot playing pickleball, were you having a flashback to
First
a
of
past
all,
battle?
I didn't break anything. I'm not
You
a brittle
shattered
bone bitch.
every bone in your
I
foot.
have never broken a bone. I am not a brittle bone bitch.
When you
When
shattered
you- okay, when
every
you-
bone
when
in
you
your
pickled-
leg.
When you pickled your foot in the ball game.
Yeah, we'll just
Okay,
call
yep.
it that.
Yeah.
I-
Were you
somebody
having
had a
flashbacks
question,
to the
but-
unification war?
I'm glad that my Q&A is just turning into ribbing Jordan for his foot injuries.
It's not. it's
Does anyone
not
have
due
any
yet.
questions about Thunder Warriors or anything else?
No,
No.
that was it. I'm good.
Ever since
That
you
was very
told
informative.
me
I liked it a lot.
the theory that Belisarius Call learned how to do what he did from stealing or potentially trading with Babu Dakhal, that is 100% my headcanon.
Is it
He
possible
dabbles
forever.
with Necrons.
that Belisarius Call is Babu Dakhal?
Yes, it actually is.
He does have a big body, you know.
And Babu Dakhal's in there just like pulling levers.
Belisarius
and-
Call is like
buttons.
made of multiple people.
Multiple minds.
So-
He might have just assimilated
Babu
Babu.
Dakhal could be part of Belisarius Call.
And
I mean,
we have another clue the next time we see Babu, because Babu Dakhal only appears in one novel.
Mhm.
so
The next
yeah,
time we see
so
the next time we see Babu, he's like a tech genius, right?
Yeah.
maybe
He's running around.
Biotech
Hey,
True.
I don't know where I see
Repairing
what you're going
droids
with-
and shit,
I see where
yeah.
you're going with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember where I read this, but I remember reading something about that we'll learn more about Babu Dakhal in the Siege of Terra. I haven't finished reading the Siege of Terra, but I haven't found anything online from the current books. No one's said anything to me about Babu Dakhal. Maybe in this new book, there's like a short story that.
well, I was gonna say I did hear they forgot to include that, and that's why this fourth book is coming out.
Yeah.
It's all
yep.
Babu.
Another the
It's
end of the
all
Death Book
Babu.
is So we
You
have
ever
Yeah,
seen
we
any
have a
rumors
question.
on the Babu forums?
We have a question from chat here.
Okay.
From Brown's Domination. What is the likelihood of Babu making a legion of his own?
And are the Legion of the Damned actually Thunder Warriors? Well, the Legion of the Damned
So
are
the
not
follow-up question's
Thunder
good.
Warriors. As far as I understand it, but
Legion of the Jam
I could see if he can get his stuff off of Terra, I could see him
Firehawk?
easily going out
Firehawk.
and
Right.
say what? Oh, the
Firehawks,
Firehawks.
Legion of the
Yeah, it
Damned
was
Firehawks?
the original Legion of the Damned. But I mean, so there's the original Legion of the Damned was the Firehawk chapter that got lost, was like the original lore as I remember it. But there's also in the Horus Heresy, there's moments where there's people who were not that chapter, because that's not a first founding chapter, who are essentially Legion of the Damned. Like there's a point where like sort of a ghostly Ferrus Manus shows up in the Webway to fight demons along with a bunch of other Space Marines. So
a
like
giant Legion of the Damned without a head.
yeah.
That's what it
I
is,
think he
so-
has yeah.
Yeah.
So like whatever the Legion of the Damned are, I don't think it's necessarily limited to a single chapter. But I think they are Space Marines.
Don't worry, I also have a PowerPoint on how the Legion of the Damned are secretly just Stormcast Eternals.
Well, where's that
Oh
PowerPoint?
no.
That sounds more
We're
gonna
interesting
do-
than Black-clad Space Marines.
Yeah, you're right. I just came up with it right now.
Yeah, I can totally see Babu Dakhal going off and carving an empire, especially with the Cicatrix Maledictum cutting the galaxy in half and all the turmoil. It's just a question of can he pack his lab up and get off the planet. But if he's survived this long, he'll figure it out. He's Babu Dakhal.
He's Babu Dakhal.
He's Babu Dakhal,
I have a secret desire to convert some Thunder Warriors.
It's not a
Probably
secret.
run them. It's not a secret. I just gotta find the right bits for it.
Secret.
I wanna use GW bits, so I gotta find the right soup of parts to make a Thunder Warrior.
Taking that to the grand narrative would be fucking goated.
Yeah. Would you like run them as like custodians or something?
My thought was to run them as Chaos Terminators, because a Thunder Warrior is not quite as powerful as a Custodian. Maybe like raw brute strength. Maybe I don't even think that.
I think
a Custodian.
what about Chaos Chosen?
I want them to have like toughness 5
Because they're
supposed to be
depicted in
really.
right, but they're depicted in Mark III armor, or what is essentially Mark III armor.
Well, it's called Thunder Armor. It's not. They're
I
bigger.
know,
They're noticeably bigger than Space Marines. Like a Thunder Warrior is much larger than a Space Marine.
Do they have? They
So
have a
Terminators
Legends data sheet, don't they?
Do they? I don't think they do.
I think
I'll have to look
so.
into it.
They have what?
A Legends data sheet.
Oh, I don't know.
But yeah, my thought would be to run them as
Always
Terminators,
I've never seen it.
so you can have like cultists and like guardsmen with them. Because I in my headcanon, if there was Thunder Warriors in the 40k universe, it wouldn't necessarily really be like an army of them. It'd be like a few elite Thunder Warriors, and then like people supporting them, like gangsters, cultists, whatever your flavor you're trying to do. And then like maybe run them with the creations of Bilists, so you get the combat drugs. So they're like kind of weirdly unstable, but yeah.
All right.
That's my
well,
thoughts.
That was a very good presentation. I like Babu Dakhal a lot more now. So, Elliot, I don't know what this is about. All I saw was the word chiropractors.
Chiropractors.
So, walk us through chiropractors.
Presentation. Presentation. Snap. I'm going to do snaps. They seem fun. Chiropractors. Chiropractic medicine was invented in 1895 in Davenport, Iowa. In 1897, the Palmer Chiropractic School was founded. In 1917, legal recognition and licensing. 1924, the introduction of the neurocalorimeter. Don't worry about it. Shut up. And in 1963, the formation of the American Chiropractic Association, right? What's the important takeaway here? There's a booming financial opportunity, right? And the government's getting involved, right? This is important notes to kind of hold on to. Snap. Why do I care? You know, why would I care about chiropractors?
That's a great question.
That's a great question. Snap.
Because you fixed me.
I'm legally a chiropractor. I chiropractically adjusted Ryan's shoulder at the gym and have permanently relieved his shoulder pain and stiffness. Because of this, Ryan has given me, it was like 2 weeks ago, Ryan has given me the title of legal chiropractor. And as we all know, snap, I'm all right.
I mean, if Ryan can legally marry someone, he can also make them a chiropractor.
Ryan, screenshot this.
If Ryan can legally marry someone, then he can legally make me a chiropractor. And that means I needed to know more about chiropractic, right? Like if I'm going to be a legal chiropractor, I got to know about it, right? Snap. So what does this all have to do with Warhammer, though, you might be asking, right? Like what's the correlation here? This is Slam Sector, right? Snap. Tabletop wargaming, it was invented in the 19th century. Tabletop war simulations became popular in Prussia. In the early 20th century, war games gained widespread military use. In 1950s, the rise of modern tabletop wargaming as we kind of start to see it today. In the 70s, it was the advent of role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons. And then in the 90s, we had the boom of Warhammer 40k, right? Invented in the 80s, but really picked up momentum in the 90s. Snap. So the question is now, do you see Do you see the connections here? Snap. So the connections. So in 1885, the founding of the chiropractic medicine and expansion of wargaming. See, these both were starting to become booming industries at about the same time, building up growth. It had been around in Prussia, but it hadn't made it to capitalist West yet, and this is where it was really starting to pick up. Tabletop wargaming around the same time. Tabletop wargaming was evolving from military training exercises to a recreational hobby. Money. All right. Next, snap. In the 1920s, both of them were growing at about the same time. Chiropractic medicine, it was starting to get more established. There were schools growing. And then in the 20s, wargaming began to gain popularity as a hobby. Enthusiasts started creating more detailed and complex rule sets for their games. It was picking up. Books were coming out. Snap. In the 50s, there's the post-war expansion, right? Chiropractic medicine after World War II, chiropractic care gained more recognition and became widely accepted as a legitimate form of healthcare. If that, getting involved there, that's the government. That's, we've got more money getting involved. There's more interest, right? Tabletop wargaming in the 50s, it saw a resurgence. It started to really pick up, especially with the publication of Little Wars, which helped kind of popularize the hobby. Snap. In the 70s, it started to get actual mainstream recognition, both of them. So chiropractic medicine, it started to get increased acceptance and regulation for chiropractic care. And more states in the U.S. recognized and started licensing chiropractors. And also in the 70s, it's when we saw Dungeons and Dragons, more tabletop role-playing games. They're both building at the same time. You see? Snap. And then in the 80s, commercial success, right? We have chiropractic medicine. It's well established. It's a form of alternative medicine. It has numerous clinics and practitioners across the country. Okay? They have schools. They have structure. They have organization. In the 80s, it saw the launch of Warhammer 40K. Coincidence? Snap. Coincidence? Snap.
Probably.
I don't think so. Snap. So what if, snap, what if the early development of tabletop wargaming was secretly funded by chiropractors? Snap. They saw the potential for long hours of gameplay to cause back pain and ensure a steady stream of patients to their new schools. Snap. What if chiropractors infiltrated design teams? Snap. What if to what end, you might ask? To ensure that gaming tables and chairs are ergonomically disastrous. All of them. Snap. What if chiropractors are hidden sponsors of major wargaming conventions and tournaments? Snap. These events involve long hours of bending over and carrying heavy bags. By promoting these gatherings, they ensure that a large number of gamers will need their services afterwards. Snap. And then we just go through. Because this is the thing. At the end of the day, we have to understand that the truth is, snap.
You can't do that to him.
Chiropractors have infiltrated
It's not done to me.
Wargaming industry to destroy spines. Okay? Snap. I rest my case.
Oh my god.
Can we see
There's a little.
Can we see the montage again?
Yeah, you run us through the montage again. I think Ashton missed some things.
Yeah. I was just grabbing pictures of chiropractors. Yeah, so that's
That
him
man's all bones.
doing that to a bone, a horse, a weird arm.
That's the exact picture you sent to Ryan to ruin my dinner one day.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great time.
Some flayed ones.
I didn't.
Huh.
I
You should've put a flayed
texted
one in
him
there.
on the down low. Elliot, you know that trail cam picture? Can you send it to Ashton? And he knew exactly what to do.
I knew exactly what picture it was. I sent it to Ashton. He was in the middle of eating Zaxby's, and he had an Apple Watch. So as he went to take a bite of his sandwich, he got a buzz, and he looks over, and then it's the scary picture he hates at eye level, right as he's trying to take a bite. It could not have been more perfect. And it was right when we were
Ashton
going up
is
into
not
the
a-
mountains where he gets really nervous about creepy
We were,
stuff.
within probably 3 miles of a weird, creepy hill people insane asylum.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
and
great.
I'd already been antagonizing about it on the ride through the woods up there. I think that is the trip where I coined the term curly people,
Yeah.
Yes.
which is my term for like weird malformed mountain folk. Like that.
People that
And
do
that guy's curly as fuck.
Yeah, that guy's real curly.
So he was
yeah.
like, "Oh, thank God, we're finally back at civilization," in his Zaxby's, and then Elliot was like, "Meh," and got him. Fucking got him.
And
So
all I needed was one cue to know exactly what was going on.
I do have
So
a
does anyone have
question.
any questions
Yeah,
about?
I have a question also.
So, you say that you permanently healed Ryan's shoulder pain.
That's correct.
About 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
3 weeks ago.
At what point does that become permanent?
As of the
Is it
moment
fair?
it happened.
Is it fair to say?
If the sun goes out, no. If the sun goes out, are you going to sit there and be like, "Oh, maybe it'll turn back on again," or do you go, "No, that's permanently"?
Yeah,
gone.
no. If the sun goes out, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I sure hope that thing
It's
comes back on in like a
permanently
week.
Yeah. Well,
If the
that's
moon
one of the.
explodes, you're
deal,
going to be
bro.
like, "I hope that reforms," or you're going to think that's permanently gone. I healed
That's
his shoulder;
actually-
it's permanently healed.
That's
the
actually
hell?
in one of the
That's
old
fair.
Prussian
Nope, yeah.
chiropractic textbook. Is permanently is just an old Prussian word for at least a
So
week.
wait, the Prussians are
Yeah.
responsible for wargaming. Were they also responsible for chiropractic science?
That's what you said. You said
No.
that chiropractic became popular in Prussia in the 1800s or something.
No, that's not what I said. If
No.
you go back, that's not what I said. What I said was wargaming began in
Yeah, let's
Prussia.
go back and we have to go forward.
But-
all the way to the beginning.
If we go all the way back to the beginning, what we can understand is that chiropractic became popular originally in Prussia, but it wasn't until it started getting military use in the early 20th century when it got over to the West that chiropractic also started to form and get involved and get their money in it. That's also if you keep
You said it
if you
again.
pay
Said-
attention. Shush, shush. If you pay attention, if you pay attention.
You said it again.
You did
No.
say.
Oh,
you
wait,
did-
go back a few slides. Go back a few
no,
slides.
if you go no, listen. If you
Go
pay
back a few slides.
attention,
Go back.
when it gets when it gets over to the west, if you pay attention, then
I'm
that's
paying
when
attention.
all the sticks that they use for pushing things so that they don't hurt their back disappear. Is about the same time that chiropractic becomes a thing. It's because chiropractors, their first move was to get rid of those fucking sticks so that we had to bend over a bunch and hurt our backs.
Elliot, can I say
Sticks.
something?
Yeah,
Elliot, can I
the
say something
sticks.
since I'm always right?
Yeah,
I
Ryan is
know-
always right.
I know you were intending to say tabletop wargaming started in Prussia and came to the West, but both
What'd I
times
say?
you've gone to that slide to say it, you've said chiropractic.
Listen,
sides.
I'm trying to
Wait,
talk
Elliot,
back.
are you part of the scandal? Are you
Technically,
part
I
of
am
this?
now because I'm a chiropractor. Yeah, because I'm a chiropractor. I know this because I'm a part of it. I'm officially a chiropractor, which means I've been indoctrinated into the secrets of chiropractic.
Good news: when we get a bad codex, we can blame Elliot now.
Exactly.
Mm.
Now, Elliot, I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
I'm gonna list some examples of things
Okay.
that I think qualify as chiropractors, as displayed in your last few slides.
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic,
Terrible chiropractor.
right? But he's a little curly.
He's curly, but he's terrible for
All the
chiropractors
time.
because what are you supposed to crack? What are you
No,
supposed to
he's a-
ring ding with him?
You don't have to crack him. He's a chiropractor.
Oh, he can do ring dingers without a towel.
Oh,
He can do
yeah.
he can do ring dingers from across town.
Holy shit!
Okay. Flayed ones are fit the description of chiropractors a little bit. They're robo chiropractors.
What?
You showed chiropractors in your last few slides.
Nope, those
Right.
weren't
I did show-
chiropractors, were they?
No,
Yeah,
those were
he's
people who
listed
were
those
getting
as examples.
chiropractic done to them.
Oh, okay, I understand. Sorry,
They were
misunderstood that.
chiropractic
Okay.
subjects.
Now-
Those were victims of
Patients.
wargaming. Honestly, if you go through the
Mhm.
slides, if you go through those
Yeah.
last few slides, those are all victims of wargaming
Read
that
those
I was
last few
showing,
slides.
including that horse.
And you know what? Mr.
That's the one I was about to pull up.
Horse. And you know what? Mr. Fantastic really does look like he would do some wargaming.
This Skellington.
Yeah, that
Wargamer.
guy
That's a
died
wargamer.
from. That's a wargamer. He
That
died at a
motherfucker plays
tournament.
Old World.
This is a chiropractor trying to resuscitate him from too long at a wargaming tournament.
What about the
Is there-
horse?
He won LVO a couple years ago.
Oh my god!
Isn't there a Necron chiromancer or something?
Yeah.
Chiromancer?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
One of Elliot's former army.
She would have won the Kill Team tournament, but as you can see,
But Matt was there.
As you can see,
Matt was
yeah.
there.
Matt beat her. Yeah.
Matt did this to her.
Matt did this for her. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, these
Elliot,
are all-
are
these are
you
all
in
patients.
fear?
Yeah.
Are you in fear for your life at all for blowing the cover off this conspiracy?
Yeah. Every day. But I feel like you all are worth it. I feel like the Slam community is worth it. I'm willing to put my life on the line for you. You and
No,
Chad.
Elliot, I had one more example, which I think
Mm-hmm.
kind of contributes to your argument here. The
Mhm.
War of the Worlds tripods.
What about them?
What about
They're
Astute of
clearly
you to
in-
bring them up, but
are they wait, are you saying they're chiropractors or that they do wargaming? Which side are they on?
Both?
Both.
Okay. But they're
Explain.
And they
also
were created.
they're
And they
also
were
the
created.
enemies
They were
of
created
us
by.
because
H.G.
they were
Wells.
both.
Prussia.
They were created by
They were
H.G.
created by
Wells.
Prussia.
Little
and
Wars.
Little Wars.
Yeah.
You're right.
Mm. So have you
true.
read the rules for Little Wars? Because I have like a PDF of the rules.
Jordan and I have.
we
no.
we
It's
like
awful.
looked. It's incredible. It needs you have to have like
awful.
an entire room, like a large room dedicated to playing this game.
Or a backyard.
Sounds rad.
Yeah, you're
It's
supposed to
Big
play
Hammer?
it in your backyard. Yeah,
It is
That
big.
sounds
It's
rad.
Big Hammer.
it's crazy.
We've been
If
wanting
we-
to play
I'll tell
Big
you
Hammer.
what.
Maybe we should play the very big game of Little Wars.
Look, when we hit 40,000 subscribers, we'll play Little Wars.
Oh, I was gonna
Little
say
Wars.
if we hit. I was gonna say if we hit 10K by the end of the year, but okay.
If we hit 10K this year, we'll play Little Wars.
Rad. Heard it here first.
Oh my god. Call tapped into ancient chiropractor technology to create the Primaris.
There it is. There it is.
Now, is it possible Babu Dakhal was actually just a really good chiropractor?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Honestly.
That
He
might
did
be how he gave
kind of
Thunder Warriors
adjust
long
some
life.
people's bones.
Yeah, their bodies
Like,
were
destroy them.
deteriorating, and then he adjusted them
Well, that's
until
their
they
fault
were
for
no
being
longer
brittle bone
deteriorating.
bitches.
Brown says, could Ryan be behind chiropractors infiltrating wargaming because he's actually a Thunder Warrior Babu healed? Shh. Shh, 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 shh.
It doesn't always come across on camera, but Ryan is like 6'7".
Yeah,
I think 6'8".
6'8".
I'm not that big.
What you don't realize is when we're on stream, we actually dug out part of the floor so that he's actually standing a couple feet down.
Yeah, we're not
compared
on
to
apple
everyone else.
boxes. We dug out the floor.
Yeah, we're not on apple boxes. We dug the floor down, and he's actually kind of standing partially in the
Yeah.
basement.
What's like the reverse of an
Elliot-
apple box? An apple hole?
He
Apple hole.
chiropracts my
we
feet
dug him in.
off to the
Yeah,
side.
We're not
chiropractic-
supposed to talk about Ryan's apple hole on stream.
You gotta go to Only Slams for that.
Yeah.
You can find him on Only Slams
Mm.
under the name Bobby Four Apples.
All right. We got
I think-
one more presentation. Then chat, you guys are going to vote on who had your favorite presentation.
I
It's
will
Elliot.
say I think the only chiropractors in 40K are homunculi, because if you ever look at racks, their spines are like outside of their body holding vials and stuff. But
True, and they turn
anyway.
people into furniture
True,
they
true.
do.
Like a chiropractor.
like a chiropractor. All right, Ashton. Defend Kaldor Draigo.
Okay. So, in defense of Kaldor Draigo. So here I have a timeline to begin with of the life of the humble Supreme Grandmaster of the Great Knight.
It says grandmas.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
saw
what grandma's-
grandmas.
It
I was
does
really
say
confused.
grandmas.
It's a really long title. Don't worry about it. So, first thing to point out in the story of his career is when he lands a killing blow on a demon prince named Makar, and he gets cursed. This happens super early in his career as a Grey Knight, and he becomes a Justicar later, which is like a sergeant, basically. Anyway, moving on. The next important thing he does is he defeats Mortarion and carves the name of the old Supreme Grandmaster into Mortarion's heart, which I don't know if that heals back when he like rematerializes or not, but he really stunts on Mortarion.
Emotional damage.
Thank you
What's
for
that?
that. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
Emotional damage.
So then
That was your
He-
sound effect. What do you mean? What was
he
that?
single-handedly defeats Makar again after finding out that Makar showed up at the same planet he was on before, which was obviously going to trigger the curse. So he went by himself, and there might have been some Astra Militarum there too, but who cares? Anyway, he beats Makar and gets sucked into the warp and survives, which is crazy. He then roams around the warp, killing greater demons. He kills a bloodthirster and melts its axe with his mind bullets and makes a sword out of it. Even though he also has the Titan sword, but we kind of ignore that during this story. Anyway, he then he goes and kills a keeper of secrets. He goes to he does some stuff with Zinch's domain too. Anyway. He then beats Rabute to the punch by burning down part of Nurgle's garden, and apparently makes a large portion of the warp smell like burnt Nurgle garden, which is
gross.
I guess pretty bad. And then after that, he starts appearing out of warp rifts, chasing demons out of their own house. And basically, demons come running out, and they're getting chased by Draigo a lot of the time. Well, I say a lot of the time, some of the time. Anyway, moving on. Here, I have taken those same points, and we have mapped out the bullshittery levels over time on the Sicarius meter, as you can see. So, the first time that he fights Makar is in 799 M41. Second thing is when he beats Mortarion in 901 M41. Third, he beats Makar again in 999 M41, and so on, and so on, and so on.
What's the unit of measurement here on the Sicarius meter?
That's percentages of the amount of bullshit that Cato Sicarius displays.
Got it. Copy that.
Yeah. So now I know what you're thinking. That don't make no sense. Because how could one Space Marine be doing all that? But unless it does make sense. Because if we revisit the graph, you'll notice that there is a strange increase between Makar and Morty. Which is when Draigo becomes the Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights. Now, am I saying that him becoming the Supreme Grand Master gave him more power? Yes. But, to explain, I will first have to tell you about Janus.
I really thought that said Jesus for just a second.
It might as well.
It may as well. So, do any of you know anything about Janus?
I do, but I don't want to
Jesus.
spoil it.
His real name's Giannis?
He seems to be the first Supreme Grand Mast.
Yeah, so step one is to know that Magnus, the Primarch of the Thousand Suns, had his soul broken into several shards. Magnus successfully, and at going to great lengths, finds and reabsorbs almost all of these shards back into himself again. But he doesn't get the shard that represents his loyalty to the Emperor.
I just want to pause for a second and dispute the because he deserved it part.
Well, anyway, moving on.
Because Magnus did nothing wrong, clearly.
He kicked the door into the Emperor's garage and messed
It's his
up
dad's
all his
fault. It's his dad's
projects.
fault. Bad dad.
He just wanted some time to himself.
He shouldn't have had 30 kids or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, step two. The loyalty shard that was still out there was grafted to an already powerful psyker who I won't name because it's spoilers for
you want me to name it since I've already spoiled things?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
How old's the book?
I don't remember.
More than a decade? Spoil it.
He grafted the powerful psyker named Spoiler due to spoilers so he can spoiler, but instead he ends up spoilering. So I'll tell you. Well, okay. So I'll tell you why he was supposed to be the person that sat on the Golden Throne when the Emperor had to leave, but it didn't work, and so instead he ends up becoming Giannis, which they end up changing his name at some point to Janus because it's easier to say. So step 3, Malkador puts Janus in charge of this new super secret group, the Grey Knights. And eventually, Super Psyker Janus dies much, much, much later after doing tons of cool missions and stuff. And he passes the Supreme Grand Masterfulness on to another Grey Knight. So, what if, though, that's not all that he passed on to his successor? What if this shard of Magnus' soul passed from one Grandmaster to another until eventually it passes to Kaldor Draigo? Now, looking at the bullshittery level, once again, you'll note that just after Draigo becomes the Supreme Grandmaster, his bullshittery levels increase quite a lot. Which sort of looks like someone going Super Psyker to me. So I posit that when he became the Supreme Grandmaster, he absorbed this shard of Magnus' soul, and this explains why he's able to do things that no other simple Space Marine, other than perhaps Cato Sicarius, should be able to do. Thank you.
Incredible.
Yeah, I just got done reading not too long ago the part where Janus is created, which I did have a question. You said that he was made after trying to sit him on the golden throne, or did I?
That
talking about Magnus?
that was the. Well, so the initial plan was that they knew that they weren't going to get Magnus on the golden throne, so they were like, well, what if we graft this shard onto this already super powerful Psyker? Maybe he'll be able to sit on the throne at least for a little while. But then the process basically nearly kills him, and then he surprisingly survives, and then the whole golden throne thing didn't end up panning out. But I'm pretty sure that the reason they were trying to... Yeah. I think the reason they were trying to...
Before they need anyone on the golden throne.
Yeah. So he was already Janus, but like I think they figured that it wouldn't work anyway, just because he didn't really become what they thought he was going to become when they did that. They kind of thought they were going to get like a mini Magnus, and that's not really what he became.
I mean, we can say like some things about the character, right? Because there's some important details in there for why they did what they did.
Say it out loud.
The whole chest.
Spoiler warning for books. He was. I won't say who he is, but he was a Thousand Son who remained loyal.
Yeah,
and
he was a loyalist Thousand
starting
Son.
to become. He was starting to succumb to the flesh change after like saving a bunch of people and like really exerting his power. And then I think Malkador and Jagatai Khan come.
Yeah, well, Malkador... Well, Jagatai didn't want them to do it, but he kind of found out after they started, and so he couldn't stop them.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where it seemed like he was going to die, and they were like, let's just stop. It's going to kill him. And at that point, the Khan was basically like, no, he's basically an adopted White Scar. Let him try. And so they let him try to succeed, and he ended up living, so that's why.
Yeah. He popped out as Janus after that.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think as much crap as Kaldor Draigo gets, I think that is a good explanation. I do want to know why he, abandoned Daenerys and hid for a while before going to space.
Oh yeah,
like
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Also, why we have never seen him riding a horse in miniature form.
All right. Well, look, I have heard that Draigo's superpower is just having Matt Ward as his author. Is there any truth to that?
Well, that there's some that would say that, but all of that is confidential information that outside the Inquisition we're not really.
Is it possible that instead of a shard of Magnus, it is a shard of Matt Ward?
No, that's impossible. He was sent to write terrible magazine articles or something.
Okay.
So here's the question I have, Ashton. If your idea of how he got his power is true, then what are you saying, that Matt Ward is actually a very good writer and hid clues as to explain the power level jump? Are you actually saying that, in defense, Matt Ward is actually a very good writer and did a lot of really solid world building?
I can neither confirm nor deny the existence of this Matt Ward individual.
So by defending Kaldor Draigo, you are defending Matt Ward.
Yeah, is that what's happening here?
No, because I don't think Matt Ward wrote the novel about Janice.
You know, I just want to real quick say Matt Ward did nothing wrong.
All right.
Look, Sean, just like go on the subreddit and say that.
I think he's doing it.
I'd be very
I think he's doing it. I think he's grabbing his phone and doing it.
He's doing it right now.
Oh, bro.
Bruh. Oh God. Well,
but yeah,
that
that's
very informative.
My and several other people online's explanation for how Kaldor Draigo, otherwise inexplicably, survives being chucked into the warp without a Geller field or anything, and kills demons long enough for them to just stop trying to kill him.
I was
arguably, does a powerful enough psyker really need a Geller field, though?
I mean, they would be attracting tons of demons constantly, though. Like, they'd get killed eventually. So, yeah.
I'm gonna say yes.
I think Magnus would be like one of the few people who could do it.
Well, he's also probably a demon, so.
Yeah, I mean,
well, but
the
Primarchs are
like
Primarch Magnus.
Yeah. He's also one shard short of a real boy.
So all what I got from this is that Magnus sharded.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
yep,
that's true.
Got it.
Cool. Magnus sharded and Kaldor Draigo came out.
But it is worth pointing out that the potential, well, depending on who you ask, biggest nutso thing that he did was killing Mortari and carving the name of the previous Supreme Grandmaster.
Yeah, which is like the first thing he did, like immediately.
But that happened right after he, according to this theory, got powered up. So
I'm with you. No, it makes sense. Yeah, I've heard like the theory about the Shard of Magnus before, but I'd never seen it like laid out in a chart like that. So
was it Kaldor? I keep wanting to say Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones.
Khal Drogo.
Khal Drogo. Kaldor
Draigo.
Khal Drogo.
Very different names. They're like not even close.
Obviously.
Totally different. Is Kaldor Draigo the one who did the whole thing with the Sisters of Battle and like bathing in their blood?
No, and that's been completely retconned. That didn't happen.
But that was Matt Ward, right?
I don't remember.
Was it?
I think it was.
I can't remember. Anyway.
It might have been. It probably was.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's been retconned, so we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of Ashen, I would also like to applaud you similarly on your expert use of Google Slides with all the animations and stuff.
Yeah.
I even managed to throw
mine would have been
if you picked up the Infinity Stone in there.
Mine would have been much more eloquent if it wasn't explicitly aping someone else's style.
I'm just bad at stuff, so mine was just what it is.
You're not bad at stuff.
I thought it was good. I like that last slide that says like chiropractors or whatever with the conspiracy. I'm gonna like set that as my desktop background, I think, because it's incredible. It's a work of art, truly.
Why, thank you.
But yeah, we had some great presentations here today. Ending the
Jordan,
poll.
what's happening Monday?
Ending the poll. Elliot, you win. Elliot had 57% of the votes for the best presentation.
Hey!
Truthfully, such a brave soul, you're really putting your life on the line to bring us that information about the conspiracy.
Chat, it's because I care about you. It's because I care about you.
He's really putting it out there.
So well deserved.
And I like taking what I have and putting it out there, you know?
Yeah.
What you have is fine.
What I have is fine. I do have to thank Ryan. He's the one who made me a chiropractor and let me, gave me that opening into the inner secret. So, Ryan is always right, and Ryan is. I have to thank him.
We just have to hope that Elliot doesn't abuse his time magic powers.
You have time magic too?
I guess so.
Oh,
He's
Oh,
a
sorry, that would be a
chiropractor, not a
chronopractor.
chronopractor. Yeah,
I'm a
he's
chronopractor. That's how I paint so fast.
yeah. Jordan's a
Oh, that
chronopractor. He
definitely-
pops
Yeah,
time.
he's a chiropractor. I'm
Speaking
the
of painting
chiropractor.
fast,
Half the time.
I still have a whole bunch of guard to paint because on Monday we're gonna be playing with the new guard codex against Elliot's Tyranids. So
Yeah.
we're gonna be having 2 like kind of army debuts on Monday because we haven't had Tyranids. I don't think this edition. I don't think we've had Tyranids outside of boarding actions. So it'll be fun. We're gonna be having 2 channel army debuts. I'm going to be running the Hammer of the Emperor detachment, which I think is not good. I think it's not a good detachment, but I'm going to attempt to prove myself wrong.
There you go.
Yeah. So that'll be
This,
fun.
this might be the first time that anyone hits a Astra Militarum painting goal in this short a period of time in the history of the
Well, when
hobby.
it's mostly tanks, it's actually kind of easy. I do actually have like 30 infantry I have to paint, so we'll see.
If anyone can do it, it's the chronopractor Jordan.
It's me, the chronopractor. I would also like to take a moment to thank our members here. If you will join as a member, you can see your name here too. Slambo tier members, they get fire, so that's pretty cool. So thank you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for joining, like, sub, all that goodness. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.